What is up, YouTube? How's it going? Uh, oh man, I wanted to start doing these YouTube live videos just because um, it's a way for me to kind of connect with everybody, and it's a way for me to, you know, chat with people and um, I can talk about what's going on with Godbold Exotics, but at the same time, I can answer questions and get to know other folks. You know, so anyway, um, yeah. So let me just start out by saying I am not a fan of daylight savings. When I initially decided to do YouTube Live this morning, I did not take into account that it was the first day that daylight savings was going into effect. So, two things. I was I didn't remember till like late last night, so I had to change my alarm to get up an hour early. And B, I was thinking, crap, now a bunch of people that are planning on 9 o'clock completely forgot, like me, because I'm an idiot, that it's daylight savings. So they also forgot. So now people are going to be coming on at 10 o'clock thinking that, it's 9 o'clock. Anyway, um, next week will be better, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a little chilly this morning, and AJW reptiles. Hey, thanks, man. Uh, doing the best I can, but there's definitely a learning curve. Um, but yeah, it's kind of chilly this morning, and yeah, and it's kind of like 8 o'clock. Um, Sundays are my days that I try to sleep in a little bit. I get up pretty early during the week for work and stuff with kids, but um, Sundays and sometimes Saturdays, if I don't have a lot to do, I try to sleep in a little bit. But cool. So YouTube Live, this is definitely the first time I've ever done this. Um, I have thought about doing it for a while, and I've been watching some other folks, like I guess going back. I I got I started watching Brian Barczyk's channel years ago, um, and I started watching a lot of Camp Keenan. I don't know which it is. Sorry. um, and DM Exotics, watched his stuff a lot, and I liked their videos quite a bit. But I was kind of thinking that it might be kind of cool to implement some live videos with my YouTube. So I don't know, guys. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna try and do it every Sunday at. I'm gonna shoot for 9 o'clock, but let's just plan on 9. If it changes, then um, I'll let everybody know. But it seems to be that that's the time it's the quietest at my house, and I'm able to get out here and chat, and there's not a whole lot going on yet. Um, so a couple things. The channel, it's really taken off. We've got almost, I think we're like just a few subscribers away from 300, which isn't a lot, but the channel's only been around for like, you know, around, I think maybe 6 months, if that. And I'm just kind of excited that there are people out there that want to watch it, to be honest. It's not my livelihood. It's just something I'm kind of doing out of a labor of love. And I'm really enjoying it. I thought of it when I first did it, I thought it was kind of a joke. Um, and by the way, I apologize for the ums. It's like involuntary with me. Uh, and us. Um, so when I started YouTube, it was kind of a labor of love. It was kind of a joke. I thought, I have no broadcasting experience. I've never done this before. And I did the first video, and I have a camera guy that I kind of made the pitch to, and I had known him before, Mikkel. And he was like, "Oh, dude, we could totally do this. It'd be a lot of fun, and we could, grow with it." And he's trying to build his portfolio too. So it seemed like it worked for both of us. And we did that first video, and I was like, "Wow, that was kind of fun." And then we did a second one and a third one, and I was like, "This is actually really cool." Like we have things we could talk about. There was a lot of stuff being done and redone and triple done and quadruple done on the internet by different people. Um, but like I'm really into a lot of the obscure stuff, and there's a lot of species that I'm into that I search for videos on, I search for content, and I can't find it. So my goal is to be able to bring that stuff to you guys. I really want to be able to do shows on the species that I'm into. I really want to cover my own collection. I really want to be able to travel and go to other people's collections that I've always wanted to see, and bring you guys that content, because there's a lot of people out there that work with different species that I don't know a lot about, or maybe there are species that I want to get into, and it'll be really cool for me to go and show you guys their collections and how they keep their animals, as well as showing you some animals that maybe you guys only get to see a picture of here and there. So I think that'll be really fun. Like for example, not this weekend, obviously, because it's Sunday, but next weekend I'm headed down to Southern California at an undisclosed location in between San Diego and LA. And I'm going to be staying with a buddy of mine. He's been a friend for a long time, that is a really fairly well-known Amazon basin breeder, as well as northern emerald tree boa breeder, so Batesii and Caninus. He also breeds a lot of, or has in the past, bred a lot of Europlatus satanic leaf-tailed geckos. So that weekend I'm going to do an episode, and I'm going to highlight he's got some chondros, so we're going to show some of his chondros, we're going to show some of his emeralds, and we're going to show some of his Europlatus geckos. And I think that'll be really cool. I mean, there's not a whole lot of videos out there that show Europlatus geckos. There's not a whole lot of videos out there that are even showing chondros and showing people's collections of emerald tree boas. So I'm personally really stoked about that. That is within the state of California. I'm in Northern California, so I am flying down there. But that's kind of what I envision this. Like I envision talking about my channel, my collection, things that I'm doing, but also visiting some of these folks that live in different places. And that's kind of where I envision the show going. And my end goal is to be able to actually travel outside of the country, either to visit some people's collections, maybe, like I think it'd be really cool to go to the, the Ham show, I think, that's over there in Europe. That would be really awesome. I really want to go to Australia. Having lived in South America and the Amazon for a couple years, I really want to get back down there, maybe go to Costa Rica, Nicaragua, some places around there to try and, and Caribbean. That's another place I'd really like to visit. So all these places I've got in my mind, I'm like, so I could also implement that into it, like trying to find stuff in the wild, and taking you guys on some of those adventures, a little bit like what Dan Maliri has done over there in Thailand and some of the areas in Southeast Asia. That's kind of what I want to do, but I'd like to do it in some different places like Australia, the Caribbean, South America. And, that's a long ways out, but I'm young enough to where I'm hoping the channel grows to a point where we get a good following and we're able to do that, and the resources open up to where we can do that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I want to, let's see, I'm excited about the ATB. Wait, what is that? No. Sorry, reading a comment here. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Positive encouragement always helps. It's great. I love hearing feedback from people. Sometimes even it's feedback that's a little bit more like critique. I'm cool with it. I'm man enough to admit that I'm not perfect and that this is a total learning curve for me. but I'm having fun with it, and I'm hoping it you know, sky's the limit, only goes up from here. So cool. So yeah, so that's what I want to do with the channel, and that's kind of where I'm at there. I don't know. I don't know how many people are listening right now or watching, but if any of you guys have any suggestions of things you'd like to see, some species that you'd like to see me cover, talk about, collections maybe, throw them out there. Put them down in the comments and let me know. Or you can email me, you know, at godboldexotics@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email or put it in the comments and let me know what you guys would like to see, because I'd love to be able to put content out there that the viewers are actually wanting to see and anticipating and all that good stuff. Cool. So I did want to kind of talk about, you know, while we're talking about stuff, different species and stuff like that, I was going to kind of talk about some things that I personally would like to work with, some species I'd like to get. I'm throwing this out there because if there are any of you guys that are watching this that have experience with these species, reach out to me or put it in the comments and let me know what your experiences have been, because I'm really intrigued and have been for a while. So I'm just going to go right for the gusto. Like, as far as pythons go, my favorite python has always been the diamond python. I've never worked with them. I've worked with a lot of carpets for years. In fact, a carpet python was my first snake. It was a coastal, but at least my first commercially bought snake. So yeah, I really want to work with diamond pythons, and I'm not wanting to get like our room full of them, although I would be okay with that if it ever happened. But I'd really like to work with some, you know, like I'd like to get a stack of cages that just have diamonds in them, you know, like 2 pairs or something like that, and try my hand at breeding them. I love them. I've thought they're beautiful for a long time. I know lineage is key, and I'm very anti-cross when it comes to carpet pythons. So I would be, you know, searching for the right lineage, and I know as of right now, I kind of know some breeders that I can go to and track down the lineage that I want, you know. So, and there's only a few lines out there. There's not a ton, but I would be very interested in, you know, any feedback from anybody that's versed in diamond pythons, what you guys could tell me about them, you know, some pitfalls that people fall into. I do know they need to be kept a lot cooler. I know if you want to cycle them, you really have to get the temps down. I know they're bulletproof. You know, I kind of look at it. I have kept bredli before, and I actually want to get bredli again. Truth be told, I loved my bredli, and why I sold them I have no idea. But I'd like to get a pair or two, maybe 1 or 2 pairs of them as well, as far as pythons go. Pythons. You know, I definitely want to get more womas. I have womas now, so it's not something I haven't worked with. They're probably one of my 2 favorite pythons next to diamond pythons or womas. I just think they're so cool and so unique. And actually, I was going to bring out a woma python for you guys here in a few minutes. I'll get them in a few, but love womas, and I have, you know, I've thought of getting blood pythons, and I've thought of getting Angolans. I know they get, not bloods, short-tail pythons and Angolans. I probably would go with Angolans before I went with short-tails. I just know that short-tails need a little bit of extra room from what I've gathered, and I don't know. That's just up in the air right now. I'm not really sure. As far as pythons, I'm probably more in line with getting some diamonds before I got anything else, or maybe some bredli. I'm trying to think if there's any extra pythons species I'd like to work with. I can't think of any. But moving on to boas. Some boas that I really want to work with are emeralds. basins included, you know, basins or northerns. I'm not a huge fan of the crosses, but I know that the crosses do happen in the wild. So, you know, I think they look really cool. But I would really like to get my hands on some emeralds. And I know some folks that work with them. I know Bill Hughes is producing them every year, and I know my buddy down in Southern California, Ryan's got some. Ryan Wallison. You know, you can get some really nice imported stock from Harlan Wall. Uh, Joe Switolski's got, I think they're farm bred babies. All those guys are reputable. I wouldn't hesitate to buy from any of them. I've known most of them for a while anyway, so I'm not really worried about it. Um, but yeah, if any of you guys have kept emeralds, you know I'm a Corrales nut with Corrales Radio. Um, I think it would be a lot of fun to work with them as well. And I, I, I kind of, I don't know, like I go back and forth between which I like more, but the northerns to me, when they have nice white on them, are just really hard to miss. And you know, I really do like the basins a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the high black ones. I know those are the ones that everybody like goes goo goo over, but I really just like the classic basin. Ed's got some incredible stuff going with that, with the snowflake line and the high white stuff. But you know, I just like the classic, you know, row with handlebars and everything down the stripe down the back. I just think that looks just incredible. So so yeah, we've got diamond pythons, we've got breadlie, which I've kept before. We've got emerald tree boas. I may be getting back into Candoya. I love Candoya, but opportunities come up for me to snag some Pulsani babies, and I'm thinking about it. I don't know. They're cool snakes, and I think if I went about it differently this time, I'd probably try a different feeding method with the babies. I used anoles and geckos and all that wild caught garbage with my last litter of Pulsani babies, and I lost quite a few of them, and I really didn't like it to begin with because these anoles and geckos and stuff, they're alive and they have parasites, and I think so anyone who's listening, I completely got out of Candoya. I don't have any Candoya anymore. But I think this time I bought a nice feeding tube, and I think what I would do is just use pinks and like assist feed the babies until they put on enough size to where they're taking it. So I would just completely take that whole like gecko and old feeding thing, take that out of the equation because I don't want that stuff coming into my collection. So that's what I would do differently, and I think it would work. To be honest with you, I think they would be getting the nutrition they need, and you know, Pulsani babies, once they got big enough, they seem to be a little bit more daring, and they would strike a little bit more, at least with my experience. So you get a little bit of size on them, and I think it's a little bit easier to switch them over from, you know, frogs or anoles over to pinks. But I would just assist feed them the pinks with the feeding tube, and that's how I'd do it. And it may work, may not work, but you know, we'll see what happens because I think I've got a few coming towards me. Coming towards me. I can't talk, guys. It's early. I think I have a few coming to me once the mom drops the litter. But maybe Candoya. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, I'm not really, you know, looking to get into a bunch of different boa species, really. There's a couple python species I'd like to work with. And I would really like to get some Varanus. I'd really like to get some Prasinus, some of the green tree monitors. I absolutely love them. I'd like to try my hand with some rough, rough blackneck monitors. I think that's the name, the correct common name. I'm not a Varanus guy, guys, so you know, be patient. But the rough blackneck, or maybe it's black throat, I can't remember. But they're an Indo species. And then the green tree monitors. I also love the Pilbaras, the Pilbara rock monitors. I think those are just very, very cool. So if you guys have kept any of those, please reach out to me. Let's talk because I want to learn everything I can about them. Um, I know that they require additional um, time, energy, space. It's probably smart if you're going to work with some of those smaller species, which I don't want any of the big water. I love the water monitors. I love Quincy monitors. Probably one of my favorite monitor species are Mertens monitors, which I may get some Mertens one day, or maybe some mangroves. I love those. That whole clade of monitor species, but I don't have the time right now or the space, and I don't really feel like starting a breeding colony of dubia roaches right now. So I kind of already know what's needed for them, and so I don't feel like I can adequately provide that for the animals right now. So it's kind of kept me from getting into them, but um, I'm hoping that I'm kind of toying around with building a snake building for me outside. Once I get a bigger place to put my collection, I'll have a little extra space, and I could probably dabble with getting a pair, maybe a trio of something like that. So anyway, if you guys have kept them, you know, put it in the comments. Let's hear your experiences. I'd really like to know. Um, Other thing that I really want to get into are tortoises. Not like a lot, but like, so I have, I'm gonna grab this real quick. So let's walk over here. So this right here, so this is just one of those planters for like gardening. And I'm really into the Mediterranean species of, of, uh, of tortoises. And so I was thinking of cleaning that thing out and actually putting like, building like a warm, like a heated area here, you know, with like a box and stuff like that. And so that they can go in whenever it dips down to cooler temps. But I really like the Mediterranean stuff. And I was thinking of like Greeks and I was actually going to build something coming up like a mesh, something that going over the top so that like, you know, we have cats around here so they couldn't get into it. But I think this would be really cool, you know, clean this out, put some vegetation, some rocks in there, build something that's heated that I can put like right here for them to go into, like a heated shelter when it gets cooler, build something over the top, and I could get like, I don't know, like a pair or maybe a trio at the most. I know you can't put a lot in there, but maybe a pair or a trio of I think they're Hermani, or maybe Greeks. So if any of you guys, I mean, do you guys have experience with tortoises? I kept a ton of like box turtles and I again, if I have an area where they can get away that's heated and it's dry, then I feel like that's something that they could do, that they could thrive in. Hey, Constantine, thanks, man. It's awesome that I got that you're over there in Greece. Thanks. Trying to put out good content. Hey, we were just talking about Greek tortoises. So if any of you guys that are listening have any experience with Greek tortoises or Hermani or Hermani, I don't know how you pronounce it, so you have to tell me how to pronounce it. Again, I'm not a tortoise guy either. I would really like to get a pair or a trio and set them up outside and make sure they have UV and all that stuff. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I know of a breeder in Las Vegas that produces them pretty consistently, and they have like documented stock, and they're like, you know, captive born and bred babies and stuff like that. So that's who I'd probably buy them from. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys, if you guys have any experience, if you have any advice, let me know. Reach out to me. I'm available in a lot of different areas on Facebook, Instagram. You guys can let me know. Let's see. I don't know. I'm just kind of winging it, you know, this morning. Just kind of flying by the seat of my pants and seeing what comes to mind. I'm gonna, again, I'll just repeat this. I'm gonna do this every Sunday. I'm gonna try to do it at 9 a.m. There might be some conflicts. If I have something that comes up that morning, or maybe I'm not, you know, whatever the case is, I'll do it in the afternoon. But I will have one of these out every Sunday. And they're probably gonna go between 15 to 30 minutes long. not more than that. Sometimes they'll be a little shorter. Sometimes not as long as other times. But anyway, let me grab one of my womas and bring one of him out, because you guys, let's be honest, you'd rather see snakes than listen to me babble. Okay, I'll let her out. Come on. All right. Harley, go. Harley's out here. Awesome. So, this is probably one of my favorite snakes in my collection. This is Call. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. But he was produced by Art of Villas. I've brought him out a few times. I've taken some pictures of him. He is just a completely awesome animal. He probably will munch on me here, so I'm kind of watching my hands. He's super laid back, but when he gets a hold of you, sometimes he just decides he wants to chomp down. But I think womas are just so unique. I mean, look at that pattern. I mean, that is just awesome. I'm completely blown away. And I like their bellies. Their bellies are all kind of, this one's actually, Call's belly is not as orange as Khaleesi's, but I mean, I have a pair of them. They're unrelated, but I really want to get some more. Like, I actually want a pretty large group of these guys. They're just so cool to me. Look at the face. They have no heat pits, so they're one of the more primitive species of pythons, and they are just badass. I love them. His head is very orange. I don't know if you can tell. It maybe because of the glare, but he's actually got a really orange head for compared to a lot of the womas I've seen. His head is just really orange. But he's a very cool animal, very slow moving, but they're very inquisitive. They're curious. They like to kind of check out their surroundings. They're not a nervous animal. They have a super strong feeding response. So usually when you get bit, it's because they're mistaking you for food. Their scales are keeled, which I think is very neat compared to the other species, you know, and I think because they're living in really harsh terrain in Australia and living in, you know, rock outcrops and you know, having to burrow and find their food because they're a terrestrial species. So I just think that they've, you know, evolved to have these rougher keeled scales to help with the harsh environment that they live in. He's kind of small right now. He's only about 2, but I'm excited to breed these guys. I'm hoping that I'll have Khaleesi up to size by the end of this year, and I can breed them. If not, you know, I'll breed them next year. But I'm really excited. If you guys have anything to tell me about womas, or if you guys keep womas, hey, post pictures of them in the comments and let's see them, because again, aside from diamond pythons, these are probably my favorite species of python. I just love them. So anyway, that's Call. I'm gonna go ahead and put him up, but cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Come here. I appreciate you guys listening and commenting and just, you know, being a part of this whole experience for me. It's been great. If you guys are interested in Corrales tree boas, you can listen to my podcasts, Corrales Radio. I try to keep Corrales Radio and Godbold Exotic separate, but if you go over to Blog Talk Radio /Corrales Radio, or just Google Corrales Radio, you'll be able to find it. So we do some off-topic episodes every once in a while, but just putting the plug out there. If you want to check us out, you know, and listen to some fun podcasts on tree boas, Corrales tree boas specifically, check out Corrales Radio. Just search it on your web engine. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. You know, this is a labor of love. It's a lot of fun, and I've got a new episode hitting this week. and I've got some stuff coming down the pipeline. I've already shot another episode highlighting a couple of my Amazon tree boas. I'm going to introduce you guys to those. I've already got some stuff coming I've done a couple bonus episodes that I haven't released yet. I shot them this week, so I'm going to get those all edited right now. My Mikkel's editing everything, and we're going to get it all set to air this week, so you guys will have some fun little bonus videos coming at you. And the other thing is if you guys really want to support the channel, make sure you head over to Patreon/Godbold Exotics and support us. It really is what keeps the channel going. But we love everybody that's reached out, and I really appreciate everybody's feedback. And you know, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, so you can look me up. Make sure, if you haven't already, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, guys, you got to get with the program. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let me know what you think. And yeah, this is the first one, so I'll see you guys this week. But as far as live goes, I'll see you next Sunday. So until next Sunday, sounds so cheesy. You've been watching Godbold Exotics. All right, guys, peace. Now, how do I stop this?